Welcome to Exploring the Ozarks, where we tell the history and stories of location, places, and people that make up the Ozarks. Here's Matt! We're all clapping for Matt. It's not in the recording at all. We have a huge studio audience here, and they're here for Cory, actually, but...
Thanks, everybody.
Also for Matt. Mainly for Matt.
Thank you, everybody. Hey, everybody. This is thanks for tuning in to Exploring the Ozarks. I'm Matt Graham.
There we go.
We're here with my co-host and producer, David Carr.
That's me.
We have our special guest, Mr. Cory Kays, that we're going to get into. Thanks for being here, Cory. But we are here today at Springfield Studio One for this podcast. And just so everybody knows, I had a few questions last week while I was on vacation. I was sick in bed, and I started getting
during
questions.
Vacation, which was terrible, by the way.
Gosh, man, it was
the week before. I was on vacation too. I didn't get sick though.
Yeah, but you
which
went
was
to
unfortunate.
Somewhere where it was probably much warmer than Florida was.
Yes.
It was like 65 degrees tops in Florida.
It was 90 there, but then when you're by the beach, it was 75. It was really nice, and there were huge rockets there.
That must have been nice.
And it was.
No, that's pretty cool.
And there's beautiful
actually.
Sunsets almost every night I was there, too, which was great for my photography and videography. I was like, this is perfect.
And you're going to see SpaceX and stuff
exactly,
like that.
Yeah.
I looked at the...
we need to do an episode on that. We'll get Elon Musk or Glenn Shotwell.
I think we
Glenn
can get
Shotwell.
Elon. You know, I think
no, we'll go for Glenn Shotwell, because he's the president of SpaceX.
Oh, okay. I didn't know
Elon
who this
founded
was.
it. Glenn Shotwell's in charge of it.
He's the real guy.
And she's a lot. I mean, she knows it.
Oh, she. Okay.
She.
Oh.
Yeah, Glenn Shotwell.
Oh, wow.
Shotwell, and she's in charge of a rocket company. It's like,
How ironic.
It just worked out.
But I had
wonder if she changed her name, actually. But anyway,
I would.
What did people ask? I'm sorry.
No,
I could talk about, this is right here is SpaceX. That's how much I like all that space stuff.
Not nerded out at all.
Not at all.
But no, and that's super cool that you were able to do that. I got there and forgot to bring my allergy meds, and I got home and I was wondering why I was so sick. But I could see pollen like washing up on the beach. It was so crazy.
Yeah, that is.
And then I look at this national map of the pollen map, and it's red all across Florida where I was.
I actually vaguely remember that, like there was a huge pollen attack on Florida or something
like
that.
Bad,
it was
man.
bad.
I mean,
it was huge.
I couldn't breathe or anything. But anyways, people were asking me if this studio is, for rent, and we talk about it a lot. It is for rent, but it is your studio. This isn't some studio that we rent. This is actually David's studio.
This is mine. Yes.
So.
I built everything in here, bought everything in here, run everything in here.
Not to mention the other theater rooms that the Springfield Improv uses, and that's where we want bands.
We've had professional production companies in here. We're actually working on getting some plays produced in here. I'm talking with multiple people that want to use it for a whole bunch of different things, actually. Getting some music apps in here. Eddie Gamuscio, who was on here
last week.
Well, not last. Well, when this thing airs, it'll probably be like a month ago. But
you're right.
He may start doing some music stuff out of here for us, actually, for Exploring the Ozarks. So
That'd be awesome.
If you want to see more music acts, local music acts, talk about culture of the Ozarks.
Yeah.
Music embodies a lot of culture.
Oh, yeah.
So
especially Queen City Shout, because there's, 90 bands or something like that that are playing
almost
around
100,
Springfield.
yeah. So definitely over 90.
Hopefully by the time this comes out that we have a report back from Eddie on how well that did. But it's a big deal. But Springfield Studio One, if you want to do your own podcast, you can come rent this very room.
You can.
With these very cameras and things like that, if that's part of the package you want.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you want to go check out the stage area, there's a legitimate stage that the Springfield Improv operates out of.
Yeah.
If you want to put on a small play, I think you had somebody say that a family wanted to come in and do
the talent show,
family talent show, which is super cool. I wouldn't think that
I've been tempted to do that with my family because we all have various talents.
You might as well. Yeah. I mean, that'd be kind of neat to do.
One of the new things I didn't add in here was that it now can screen films. And I was showing Cory before we came in, and there's a huge 16-foot by 9-foot screen in there with a projector.
Oh, wow.
So I can, if you want to show a movie, or if you want to come do a movie night with your friends. I mean, I
saw the popcorn machine. It's pretty legit.
It is, yes.
You
it
got
makes good popcorn.
And
got concessions. I mean, it is a very well done. Everything here is great, guys.
Come on
in and give me money.
Come in here and rent the space. I would love to just bring my family in here and do some stuff like that.
Well, and
too,
I shouldn't end what I say by saying give me money. This is all to build the film industry in the area. So I mean, please, if you're interested in film, making film, anything of that sort, acting, writing, anything, please come in. We'd love to get to know you and give you an opportunity to use the facilities.
That's a good, well, I'm not going to say segue because we still have to go through some more, but we have a high impact actor here with us today. That we're
feel free to talk if you want to, Cory.
Yeah, jump in anytime.
We don't have to wait.
But
I got a question, actually.
Yeah, go ahead, shoot.
Do the peppermints come with the...
Yes. If you're a guest, you may have one.
$5 a piece.
One every 10 minutes.
No, I meant with the rental package.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. I'll throw that in for free.
Mints included.
I'm losing money on it, guys, but I'll throw it in there.
Yeah, get the mints though, $5 a pop. But you can find us on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, all the podcasting sites like Spotify, and the iTunes store.
Yeah.
And David, talk to us a little bit more about Patreon
I
real quick.
I got to shout out. We actually have one Patreon follower right now. It's my mom, Terry Carr.
Hey, Terry.
I probably shouldn't say it that way, but it's Terry Carr. Yay, Patreon supporter. So
what is Patreon though?
Patreon is a way for people like my mom or anybody's mom, if they want to come and support us at a lower monetary level. So we have business sponsors and they pay us, hundreds, thousands, whatever they pay for. But if you don't want to pay that much, you can pay $5, $10, $25 through Patreon, and that helps us with what we're doing right here. Because it costs money to, produce it, to record it, to edit it, all these other things. We don't charge anything for the guests to come on.
Our time is invaluable as well.
Yes.
But, I listen to tons of podcasts, and if you listen to other podcasts, you'll hear lots of podcasters talking about Patreon.
Yeah.
And it's a way for you to get involved as a listener to say, I support this, because there's not commercial breaks and things like that we have yet. Now, we do have sponsors that are coming on, but, right now we've got VIP Marketing, which is Jake over here, Nathan Stokes. We've got you.
Sprinkle Studio One, Creative Endeavors,
Central Bank. We've got...
That's where you work at. Yeah.
We've got some other ones that are lined up that we're getting ready to have on here as well that we're really excited about.
Yeah.
So if anybody is wanting to sponsor the show, we do have quite the reach now, and we're doing pretty well with it. So we're pretty excited about it.
And I should say, for last thing on Patreon is you do get perks.
Yeah.
So if you join, you actually get access to the Patreon page where we have exclusive content. As we start doing more things with music and other things, we're going to be doing some specific live streams there that are just for people that are on Patreon. So
we've got swag coming. We've got our shirts in the works right now. I showed Jake earlier, but I didn't get a chance to show you yet. But we got some really cool shirts that we're going to be making for this too that we can give away as well.
You may start wearing them here. Who knows?
I would think that's probably a good idea for us to use those. But
we'll get Cory to wear in the next film.
There we go.
Next film, you just tell the director, be like, "Hey, I have a wardrobe choice
for this scene.
It needs to be a close up."
Okay.
With the website link underneath it.
No pressure at all.
I kind of want a David Carr signed SpaceX shirt.
Oh,
I love that.
I like that.
I'm going to do that now.
That. Nice.
I'll figure out a way to make it happen.
Well, once Elon's on as well, we'll make sure we get
there
you
we go.
one of
We'll
those
get
too.
Elon, Glenn Shotwell, me, because I deserve to be in that group of people.
Spending a lot of time down there. So anyways.
That's what it's like frequent flyer miles.
To go from asking people to come in and film their own films or produce their own shows. I mean, you've even got a set in there that's for if you wanted to do a sitcom or something. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That people rent out just to have little parties and stuff too. But so to segue into that, we have the almost famous and going to be famous Mr. Cory Kays. How are you, sir?
Yes.
I'm good.
Thanks for being on the show, dude.
Good. Thanks for having me.
We had you on the radio show a long time ago, and I know back then you were on to talk a lot about a lot of fuss that was going on about you at the time. I see that you are still very humble about it because there was a big event that went on where you had a movie that was going on that was called Straight Edge Kegger, am I right? That kind of springboarded you into a lot of other things. I mean, looking at this resume that I'm seeing now, 10 feature films, 20 short films, several commercials, started doing movies in 2016. So it's not like you've been doing this that long as far as most actors give up by now. You have started to get propelled into this. So I
will say that is the thing about the film industry is you have to stay through everything if you want to be successful.
Right. Good and bad.
Yeah.
But, a couple of years ago, you were up for Best Lead Actor nominations for your Straight Edge Kegger, which is a super cool. I didn't know what Straight Edge was until you came on the radio show and told me all about it. But then listening to the filmmaker, I'm friends with him on Facebook now and stuff after the show, and listening to his description of all of this and then watching the movie, absolutely one of the coolest storylines I think anybody could ask for. It's such a niche deal because I don't know what Straight Edge was before you started talking about it, but it's people that live clean lives. They're hardcore about living clean, so that's why it's ironic with the Kegger. But where it goes after that, we don't need to get into too far. But knowing that you were up for Best Lead Actor and things like that, I mean, was that something that you kind of saw coming? Were people talking about this at some of these film festivals and all that? Because that's kind of where it all came from, right?
I'm going to fill in while he finishes drinking.
You're
I
fine.
don't know what he's going to say, guys. Oh, here we go. We're going to find out just now.
No, actually, the answer is no. So a lot of the films I've done are a lot of heavy drama things. So it involves my character usually going through the ringer, some sort of mental turmoil, and
Gotta have it, right?
a lot of tears and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So when I was filming Straight Edge Kegger, if you would have asked me, hey, which film do you think you might win an award for? That would probably been at the bottom.
Oh, really?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, because as of acting chops go, they want you to be able to cry at a moment's notice or multiple times in a row. But then this one...
Should we be one of those hosts where we're like, you should cry for us on camera?
Well, I was going to get into some of those questions, but now that you bring it up, David...
Oh, now that I bring it up.
So is this like... So I'm on a podcast, and people think that it's, funny sometimes, and people will be like, well, why don't you just say something funny? I'm like, that's not how I operate.
Yeah.
Do your friends ask you to, like, cry and things like that, just to, like, put you on the spot?
No.
Good.
No,
you have good friends.
Yeah,
I think the bigger question is, did you ever use that power to like get out of punishment as a child?
No.
I did.
Okay.
No.
I did.
No, I remember actually one way I thought I was going to get out of punishment as a child is I colored a bunch of things on the wall. Like my mom was gone, and I took a bunch of crowns and I drew like
Sure, yeah.
my own crown.
I feel like we've all been there.
Crown
Yeah.
graffiti. And
Yeah.
when I was like, she got home and I was like, hey mom, I want to show you where I didn't draw on the wall.
I love that. Focus on the positive. That was good.
Oh man, crayon graffiti! I like that because I think we all did that.
That
If
needs
my
to be
kids
a
did that
t-shirt.
right now, I would be so pissed.
That needs to be a T-shirt, I think. If my kids did that and it looked good, I'd be like, great, the walls look better.
Yeah, keep going. Fill
I've
that
got a lot
in.
of young kids, so it's like I've just given up on trying to make things look nice.
Yeah,
It's
I
like,
don't
here,
know.
please improve it. Just a
Well, I
little
mean,
bit.
as a parent, I don't know if I was just unsupervised as a kid, but you think about all these things that we did growing up, and I'm like, man, I'm glad my kids don't do any of that stuff now because
Yeah.
I would lose my mind. But maybe it's because I always watched them. I don't know. I was the youngest of four, so I got lost. So you talk about not thinking that Straight Edge Kegger was going to be the one. What else at that time were you doing that you thought might do better, or that you might be up for something like that?
It was right after that. I'm trying to get my.
Because that was what, 3
my
years
times.
ago or
Yeah,
so,
3
about 4
times.
years ago, maybe.
Yeah, I was doing one called Lily Is Here, where I play a recovering heroin addict, and that one is like very.
Ooh.
It's kind of a heavy film. So that if you took that film, which is like heavy, hard emotions, like almost the whole way through, and then you took Straight Edge Kegger, which is like a fun punk rock like thriller kind of movie.
Yeah.
I would think that the heavy drama would be the one that would get awards for acting performance. And
absolutely.
it actually went to
Well, I think
that
it's
way.
just because
Interesting.
it's a tribute to how good the storyline was for Straight Edge Kegger, because it is kind of a thriller, and it really sucks you in from the minute it starts. But you are phenomenal in it, and I'd love to see this other one that you just mentioned. But you're talking, 20 short films. Have you been in anything that's been involved with Sado 48 at all? Have you heard of Sado 48?
Yeah,
Here in
yeah.
Springfield?
Yeah, I want to say I did. I think I did do a Sado film when I first got going.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we had the
I remember going to the. It was at
the Moxie.
the Moxie. Yeah.
Yeah,
Kick off at Graceway, and then it would have been the Moxie for the screenings, then the Galois for the awards ceremony, probably.
David knows a little bit about it. He's
I help organize it now.
right,
so.
and we had the owners of it that were on our show a few weeks ago,
Yeah,
and they
that's-
were
yeah.
super fun to talk to. But so since 2016, let's talk first. I mean, you've done 10 feature films, 20 short films, commercials, TV shows. You played a killer clown at one point on
Please talk about that. Please talk
Reels.
about that.
the
A killer
channel.
clown?
Yeah, it was. This was
Sounds
like
awesome.
a true crime. The name of the series is called True Country Crimes.
So it was
Yeah,
based off
filmed
of an
it down-
actual crime?
Texas. Yeah, it was about
True crimes.
a killer rodeo
Yeah,
clown.
on
Not-
like Investigation
Wow.
Discovery Channel
A
or Reels
killer
Channel.
rodeo
Yeah.
clown.
Yeah.
That just seems like the start of a joke. Unfortunately, it doesn't sound like it ends happily, but
Oh,
definitely not.
Doesn't sound like it.
Not at all.
yeah. That was different for me. I'm used to. I'm not used to playing the villain in
Yeah.
that way. So
Right.
it was something. There was a change and
Interesting.
something different.
Well, in 10 seconds, what was it about?
Yeah.
I mean, besides the clown killing people, we get that.
It was a reenactment, I assume.
Yeah,
right?
so-
because this was kind of like a documentary almost. Like
Yeah.
a 30-minute.
Sure,
shoot.
yeah.
Yeah, it was like
I just want to know what the story was, like what happened.
basically a rodeo clown was going and doing his rodeo clown thing, and then he would go to the bar and drink a lot, and then he would kill women.
Oh my
Kill
gosh.
women.
Wow.
So-
Wow. It's amazing what people do on the road because there's a guy that is.
I don't know if you can compare.
No, well, there's a guy that's been in the news recently that
Okay.
is the Kansas City Wolf. It's a guy that dresses up in a Kansas City. He's a big, huge Chiefs fan, but it was kind of under the guise of he would dress up as this wolf at every single game, so you couldn't see his face. Nothing.
Sure, yeah.
And even when it was hot, when it was cold, he was always dressed in this thing. But he would go to road games. He would follow them on the road. And everybody's kind of like, how does somebody afford this? There was kind of some talk beforehand, but not really on anybody's radar. This guy's going out and robbing banks every time he was going to watch the Chiefs play in a different city.
Interesting.
He would rob banks along the way.
Dressed as a wolf?
Dressed as a wolf, yes.
Then he'd go to the game
and then he would
wolf?
go to the game. So it's like, you think at some point you're like, this dude's gonna get caught just for being a dumbass, but that's what his alter ego was, and that was the life he led on the road. So it doesn't surprise me to hear that rodeo clown guy.
I feel like it's time to ask the question: is your alter ego Jason Bourne, since you're from Nixa? And should we have not have asked that question?
Speaking of which,
if you'd like it to be, we can. For the show.
Sweet. I enjoyed those movies a lot. So
well, it's cool because I'm from Nixa myself, and we're a few years behind me, and I kind of consider a lot of you guys like my little brothers from Nixa. And Nixa, we were just talking about beforehand, on their Nixa population sign, the city limits sign, there used to be another green sign it looked like it was from the MoDOT, and it said home of Jason Bourne, and it was kind of a funny thing that they did for a while. I wish they would have kept it up there because it gets people going, oh, well, maybe I need to come back to this small little town or something to that effect. And there's a lot going on in that town. But so to have this guy that's from Nixa, what year did you graduate?
Well, it depends. It depends on the role.
I love that.
Well, so were you in theater and things like that? Because
No,
I don't remember. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I didn't do any theater. Actually, I was just in sports the whole time, and
Right.
I would have liked to have done stuff like that, but being in sports all season, I didn't really.
Didn't have
no
time.
time.
Theater is a big commitment.
Also,
I was always surprised. I was in choir when I was in high school. I was always surprised by the guys that did sports and choir and like theater at the same time. It's like, how do you have time to even like sleep?
No, you don't.
Between all that.
You don't. Sports is enough.
Yeah.
And then try to remember some lines and stuff. I don't know how anybody does it really. So hats off to any of those people that do that. So you weren't in theater, but you were interested in acting?
Yeah, I always kind of wondered how it worked, like as a kid. Like how do they play these characters and whatnot? And then I would watch movies where if I needed a boost or something, like maybe I'll watch Rocky, or if I needed a laugh, I'll watch Bottle Rocket. That's my favorite comedy.
I'm with you on that.
And I thought it'd be cool, like maybe somebody could watch one of mine one day, and if they needed a boost, and
dude,
that's a big reason why I got into filmmaking myself.
Perspective,
actually,
yeah. Well,
just
help
build
the magic
people's...
of the movies, right? Because we kind of grew up in that era that I don't know if it's still a thing or not, because when we grew up, that was when movies and technology was getting so much better at the time. So like Back to the Future, which we'll talk to somebody else here in a minute. Our next guest coming in is a big Back to the Future fan. Brandon Beck with KY3 is coming in. So
talking about the weather,
but you're talking about, that's a real love of something though, and the curiosity that goes along with it, enough to get you to live that lifestyle. And I say it's a lifestyle because with all this stuff that you've done since 2016, this is a lifestyle for you. This isn't just a part-time gig for you. Let's talk a little bit about what you have going on right now. So I know from your YouTube channel, tell us, is it just Cory Kays on YouTube?
Is at Real Cory Kays.
At Real Cory Kays. So you've got a really cool little short film that you just did that was kind of just more of a following you around Columbia, because you're filming another movie down there as well. So give us a rundown on the Lost in Usakin.
Dang
it. So close.
I didn't have the Enye on there either. Like when I was writing it out, I couldn't put the right things on there. So
that's okay.
That's why you couldn't say it right.
Your Spanish keyboard, you let me down.
I know. I'm sorry.
Or non-Spanish keyboard, I guess. So and I thought it was really cool that you went and showed everybody the market, and you got to talk to some people, because I'm sure it's really tough for a guy from Nixa who's not well versed in Spanish to go down to Colombia and film a movie, number one. But to be there for so long, you kind of have to immerse yourself in the area anyways. You're a tourist, but you kind of live there. So I was actually very taken aback that you you're learning Spanish very well, Cory. Let's just say that. That's very
gracias.
I'm sure that's de nada.
Podemos hablar en español.
Don't.
Let's do it.
You lost me already, David. You two could
I
probably
did that.
talk for a
I
while.
did that with
I guess.
Eddie last week actually, because he's
saw
from
that.
Bolivia,
and
it's
he's
like,
a Spanish teacher.
And he's a Spanish teacher. It's like, well, he's not from Bolivia. But he lived there when he was younger.
He was
so,
young, growing up there. But for you to be able to immerse yourself in something like that is completely different. So, what are you working on down there in Colombia right now in your film?
All kinds of
life?
things.
Yeah,
all kinds.
Not
of
just
things,
one
yeah.
film or what?
No, it's many
Oh.
things that I'll be putting out. But yeah, the Usakin one was just the first, but I have many more coming behind it. And so I went down there. I had a film premiere that was in Colombia, and I also always wanted to go, and I just went down there, and I didn't really have too many plans with it, and just said I think I'm just gonna do this. And it was kind of hard getting it together, and I thought, well, maybe I'll just go back. And I thought, no, I don't. That's not how I do things.
You don't just go back to Colombia, right?
No.
Yeah, I'm not coming back. I'm just going to stay. I'm going to figure this out. And then, so just filmed a whole bunch of stuff and getting ready to put a lot of it out. And
Good.
Yeah.
Nice.
Were you filming a movie at the time down there when you just kind of started thinking, I got this camera guy and I'm just going to go around and start filming some stuff just because I'm bored, or what happened?
no, he was just kind of with me at the time. And
Very cool.
I had a premiere for a different film down there.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so you had the premiere and you're already down there. It's a beautiful backdrop anyways,
yeah,
too.
Colombia's
So
beautiful.
probably, you start having, I guess some people say the juices flowing. That's what Nathan Stokes says all the time. Creative juices are flowing. So you get bored probably a little bit while you're down there waiting on things to happen. So you're like, I'm going to go film some stuff. But what you're doing is super cool with that. And so, like I said, so you go back to even thinking, you start your film career. What was your first thing you did when you first got into this? Because I think it's interesting to think a kid from Nixa that goes into these movies and starts getting winning Best Lead Actor nominations and things like that. How do you go from that transition of Nixa kid to being in movies? Besides the love of it.
Basically just walking into the lion's den right out of the gate is what happened.
Did you go to Los Angeles?
No, I didn't.
Where'd you go?
I didn't. I was putting in for role after role after role, and I always heard. I thought, like, a lot of times what's taught is you train as an actor for like a couple years, and then once you get strong in your craft, you go to L.A. or you go to Atlanta or New York or wherever you want to do your acting.
Sure.
What Jeff Houghton said.
And I was like, man, is that the only way to do it? And I kind of like staying here, in this area, and how can I do it? So I put in for a bunch of auditions. I remember it was like 84. I went 0-84 as far as a response in an email. Not even a hey, thanks, but no thanks.
Didn't even respond. Didn't
Right,
even open
nothing,
it. Like,
nothing.
yeah.
I mean, to be fair though, I was sending around a selfie that I took in Hawaii as a headshot and a blank resume, so I kind of get it in a way.
Oh gosh.
A blank resume.
But finally, a director that was out of Pennsylvania was putting together a film, and he had a favorite band, and he had a notion that I looked like the singer of the favorite band. So he's like, I think I'm going to give this guy a shot. And he did give me a shot.
All because you look familiar to him.
Yeah.
Unreal.
Yeah. And so I did the film, and I walked right into it, and there was a lot of things I wasn't prepared for. I had a fight scene, like had to do some fight choreography.
You went
I had
right into fight choreography?
I have to cry like 4 times for different reasons.
Wow.
And I also had to do some intimate scenes that I was like, I don't know about this,
gosh.
guys. I'm not
It was
sure.
like
Like,
everything all at once.
my
then.
grandparents are going to watch this film probably, and
Right.
do I really want to do that? And I just
Wow.
decided
You got to.
I'm going to do it.
You can't
Yeah.
not do it.
Yeah.
So it's like every single thing that you think of as an actor that they want you to do, besides hopefully not getting naked or anything, but fight scene, crying, intimacy scenes, you're doing it all in your first go at it.
first go,
And
yeah.
all because you look familiar to somebody.
That's a great resume builder right there.
Well,
actually.
I think it's
I was
like
ready
you
for
said, it's the
everything after,
lion's
yeah.
den, though,
Yeah.
man. Because you got thrown to the wolves, so you might as well just embrace it and go
But
after it.
you were hunting for it. I mean, you wanted it.
You wanted it.
Yeah, just
How-
live with the wolves.
So how you graduated Nixa and then you started that journey, or how'd that go? Like, what was your timeline?
No, I finished in college with a sport management degree. It took me a little bit to get that, and ended up in Hawaii after that, and on an internship, and stayed for about a year and loved it. I was living in paradise and working for like the Parks and Rec department of Maui.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Going to seeing all these beautiful parks and
sounds delightful.
running sports clinics and
Yeah.
stuff like that. But
That's
then when
awesome.
I would be in the office sometimes, and I would be kind of like looking at the clock thinking like, man, I like everything about this. I'm in paradise and I'm using my degree, and I'm not totally 100% content. Like, I'm not totally happy.
Right. You still
should
got
I
this
go?
one thing.
Is there something else there? And I was like, is it acting? And I tried to get into it years before, and I kind of went to a place that, to be blunt, it was kind of a scam.
Sure.
They were like, hey, pay us this amount of money. We're going to get you some headshots.
You
You're
see
going to
that
get your
a
first
lot.
role
Yeah.
and this and that. We
Yeah.
like what you can do. And I'm
Yeah.
like, man, if this is what it takes, it's
Don't
going to
want
be a
it.
while. I'm a broke college student. How can I pay this to get in this? And anyway, I put it on the back burner until then.
So then it just took, and that's what's really cool about what you're saying right now is the fact that a lot of our guests that we've had on this show are people that just went after it.
Yeah.
They didn't take courses to do it. They didn't go to school for it. They basically just said, you know what, I want to do this, so I'm going to make a few phone calls, right? Pappy's Place, Wayne Rader, who just passed away, he was a guy that was Dino Karsanakis' manager. Who was the other big name acts that he worked with?
I know he played at the Grand Ole Opry a couple times.
He was at the Grand Ole Opry.
Yeah.
His first actual band that he was in, they had many records that they put out in the country music scene, and he was the drummer for it. But he just literally called the lead singer and said, I want to be in your band. I want to be your drummer. Do you have room for a drummer? And the guy was like, no, not right now, but I like that you called me. So how about we audition at least? And as soon as he heard him, he was like, yeah, other guy's gone. You're out, or he's out, you're in. But that started a whole career of being with Dino Karsanakis, which is one of the biggest names in music you can ever hear. But we've had countless other people that have been on this show that's how they started, was just saying, you know what, F it, I'm doing it. I'm just going to go for it. And I think it has something to do with our area.
Yeah.
And that's what we started this show for, was to talk about how people go from this little town like Nixa and blow up into winning Best Lead Actor nominations and things like that.
Yeah.
But it boils down to one simple fact, and that's the fact that you had the gumption enough to just go get it. So my hat's off to you for that.
And stubborn enough to stick through it.
And that's how Straight Edge Kegger happened. In a way, I used to play music around here. Like I played in like a punk hardcore band with some friends. And that's a lot of what Straight Edge Kegger is. It's like there's house shows in the movie, and around Springfield there was all these punk and hardcore house shows. So that's instead of playing at venues most of the time, it would be like in a basement or
like
someone's
house
house.
parties. Wow.
And that's how we would play, and that's what Straight Edge Kegger was. So when I got that role, when I saw it, I was like, wow, I did all this. Like this is just going to be like nostalgia, you know, like.
You
Exactly,
got this.
Yeah, so I was like reliving my Springfield like punk hardcore days in Straight Edge Kegger.
Unreal, man.
So
you already
can
knew
you
the
say
lifestyle.
you brought some of that influence into the film then? Just everything
Oh,
you
for
did?
sure, yeah.
Did you tell the props and the director like, hey, there's some things that I know that we did in Springfield. Can you like maybe incorporate this into the film?
Yeah, and surprisingly, they had a similar scene
Yeah.
up there, and so we did incorporate a lot of
makes a lot of
the house
sense.
show style, and we would have in that movie like literally he would advertise. Jason would say, "Hey, we're having a house show. Come check it out." So people would come just to check out the house show, but we're also filming a movie. So you have some people that don't really care about filming a movie, and some people that are there for the movie.
Right.
And so there's like
And
that's
some
a
people-
good
mix.
interesting
Yeah.
dynamic.
Well, some people probably didn't even know it was a film or they were filming or anything too. So it's super organic, and he's actually one of the most clever directors I think I've ever
he's a
met.
good dude.
And he knows exactly what he wants, but he's just struggling like everybody else to do what he wants to do. And but to be up at some of these film festivals that you guys submitted this to and having you win and everything like that really propels you. Are you working with Jason at all in the future? That you guys have things rolling or what?
Yeah,
'Cause
we'll work
both
together
of you guys
again.
are amazing together, man.
thank
So
you.
keep it
Yeah.
up, dude.
Yeah.
So what else are you working on right now that we can talk about before we wrap up? Because it flies by, I know.
Yeah.
But what are you working on right now?
I'm doing a lot of writing, so that's kind of
Okay.
what I'm doing. I'm writing, and I've got all these videos that are getting ready to come out, and
Good.
trying to be pretty consistent with those and get those out there.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of wearing many hats
Okay.
right now, but
Well, you've got a guy
Yeah.
right here that might be able to help you if you ever need some film work done or something.
what
He's
size
like-
hat
Around
do you
here.
wear?
What size hat? Really big, and it's not because I have a big ego. I just have a big head.
It's a lot of hair too now, so he's added that into it as well.
There is that, yeah.
But I know before COVID, you were working on a boxing film that got put on a hiatus, I think, because of COVID and all that.
Yeah.
Well, they had travel restrictions and all that
Of course,
kind of
yeah.
stuff at the time.
Well, and
but-
doing physical contact with COVID, it would be kind of hard.
and wasn't that in like Thailand or something?
Philippines.
Philippines.
Oh,
So
okay.
not close by
Yeah.
any means.
Yeah.
But stuff like that I think is super inspiring for anybody that's watching or that's listening right now, that it's not easy to do what you do, but it is, I think, you attribute this to being in this area. I think it's kind of strange that
I
if
think
you were to
that
grow up
would be,
anywhere else, you might not be in this position,
Yeah, that's also probably a good question to end on. Is like, so why did you choose to stay in this area? Like, I mean, you could have moved to L.A. or Atlanta and probably been
which
around
is
all
what
that,
most
but,
people would have thought was the next step was
yeah,
LA.
But you chose to be around here. I mean, is there any particular reasons for that, or?
I'm a fan of my grandparents, and so I like to spend time with them when I'm not working. And
what a guy!
So I do that, and also here it allows me to, if I had just went out to LA or somewhere like that with no resume, I feel like I would have spent most of my time probably like waiting tables and things like that rather than acting. Whereas here I'm able to do more acting, and that's how I started out. I was able to get more stuff, surprisingly, living here with lower expenses and things like that than I would in a big market.
Yeah.
Well, and you're right next to an airport too that you can get just about anywhere for a fairly decent price.
Well, you got Kansas City,
right,
which has a big, pretty art scene. And
but
then, of course, you're right. There's not a lot of people go to Atlanta or LA, so there's not a lot of really good actors or producers around here. It's just to be honest, because all the jobs are in those other areas.
There's no sense in doing it if there's not really a scene for it, right? You got to have actors, you got to have the pool of people, and that's not.
You don't want to have to fly them in.
Well, and that's one thing that David's been focused on the last few years is trying to get the film industry in Missouri as a whole to be better, because you watch what Georgia did, and almost every other movie you see, you'll see that Georgia Peach come up at the beginning or at the end. And it's because they gave so many tax credits for people to be able to come film there. That's why Ozark was filmed there and not at Lake of the Ozarks like it was supposed to be, is because of the tax credits that they had. So, maybe with having people like you, who's the next up and coming, we'll call you Jason Bourne. Maybe someday we'll have Cory Kays on there instead of Jason Bourne for Nixa. But I think that at some point it needs to be talked about more often. Yeah. Luckily, David also has a political background as well. So
I do. That's my speaking of degrees, we don't use political science. It's mine.
And we're gonna try to chip away at that scene for you guys and see what we can do to help champion some of this stuff, because it's cool to watch what Nix is doing right now, especially with that new ATOS Center that they have, sponsored by Meridian Title. Shout out to them. But they spent a whole lot of money on a new theater for Nixa.
Is that the high school, or is it
millions of dollars? Yes,
public?
Right at the high school. But it is a public place.
Oh,
so
okay, nice.
They've got national acts that are coming through, like Broadway type stuff that's coming through. I think they've got the Madagascar, the cartoon for kids. They've got a Broadway musical for that, and it's almost like it's off Broadway, but it's close enough to say that it's a real big production, and that's going to be coming to Nixa soon too.
That's really cool. I didn't even know about that.
One of the guys that was on the improv show, Whose Line Is It Anyways? Him and his son tour together. His son does magic, he does improv. They mix it up. They're coming to Nixa as well for this. So
nice.
I mean, the lineup for this thing is just absolutely unreal. But so I think they need to embrace local kids that used to live here, and now they're out doing great things. And we're just happy to have you on the show, man. I know it's you're kind of a big deal, and we're really happy to have you here. So
thank you.
Thank you so much for being on the show, man.
It's an honor for me.
And we will definitely keep following Cory Kays. It's CoryKays, Cory Kays. Check him out online. You've got your own IMDb, I guess, right? You're not famous unless you have one of those. So you did good, buddy.
I don't have one yet either.
Well,
I'm not famous, guys.
How do we get one of those?
You actually just sign up and put one.
Oh, do you really? Oh, well, okay. I guess
you just have to know how to go through the process and do it right, which I haven't taken.
And make it look good too.
Well, and there's that, and then you have to actually have things to put on there.
But yeah, it helps to win awards and be up for best lead actors and things like that. So, Cory, we're going to keep an eye on you. I'll keep an eye on you. And we want to know what you're doing as you're doing it. So the more you do these things, please, let me know. But let's, see if we can start something here as a relationship to get more things going for what we have, dreamed for you guys, especially, and for up and coming kids too in the area. I think just about every school I can think of around here has a killer theater department.
Well, let me tell you, the biggest trick is not supporting the kids, because they have a ton of support right now. It's supporting the professionals that make money doing it, because there's no reason to stick around here and be an actor typically if there's no jobs.
Right.
And even Cory, I'm sure you travel quite a bit still to get to your work. So we're not producing enough around here to actually support the industry. So the kids are supported, and now we need to start supporting the professionals and make sure that we can build that industry.
Well, because they're going to be the ones that'll help bring those kids up as they go.
And because that's just it. You get the professionals going, and then the kids will have a job to go to when they finish at Springfield Little Theater or at the Nixa, the drama department or wherever, they actually have a place to go to here
Right.
locally to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, before we end, is that something that have you thought about doing any local acting at like the Little Theater or anything like that, just to kind of keep the resume going a little bit? I don't know.
Yeah, I would like to film here at some point. I'm not sure exactly what. It seems like
I got a
the
script
last
I'm
one-
writing.
Uh-oh.
We'll talk.
Uh-oh.
What was
You're
the
both
last one?
writing.
The last one shot in the Ozarks was like Winter's Bone in like what 2009.
Dude.
Are you talking about like feature length film? Or are you
Yes,
talking,
yeah.
Winter's
that would
Bone.
be-
something like
Okay,
that.
so I've got a story for that. My wife's an art
You
teacher.
got
Done it.
1 minute to tell
Right. Forsyth Elementary. We'll go out on this.
it. There we go.
Forsyth Elementary, my wife's an art teacher. She's been there for 16, 17 years, something like that. And this was probably her first 6 years into it. And they said that they were going to shut down the school, or they were going to film it on a Saturday so no one could come in. I think it was a whole weekend event, but they used her art class as one of the sets for Winter's Bone. And Jennifer Lawrence was supposed to walk her little sister down the hallway and drop her off at that room. They like made her dress up in like some art teacher gear, and they put like little hearts and stuff all over the room, and she still kept some of that stuff.
That's
like little
cool.
signs and stuff like that. I wish she could have got Jennifer Lawrence to sign it, but that was Jennifer Lawrence's breakout role that no one ever knew about.
Yeah.
And they didn't know that it was filmed here in Forsyth, Missouri. So
I didn't even know that.
yeah, it was
I know the film, but I
it was
haven't.
a big deal, man.
That's-
yeah.
wow.
All the little
That's really
hills they're
cool.
walking around in the woods and stuff like
Yeah.
that was all filmed down in Forsyth. So
That's really cool.
So to know that you know that is pretty cool in itself. But to know that my wife was actually attached to that is something else that's pretty cool. Shout out to my wife Alice. She's not an actor, but she was close to one at one time.
Well, without the extras, you don't really have a film typically. I mean, think about the basement music he was talking about. Without
Right.
those extra people there, would it have been an actual scene?
Oh no, they got
I mean-
a lot of free labor out of those people in
Oh, yeah.
Forsyth. I know that.
Oh, yeah.
'Cause
A lot of people want to be on film.
Oh, they had a lot of locals that
Yeah.
were in the movie that had lines and stuff like that. They didn't know it was going to be a movie whatsoever. They didn't know who Jennifer Lawrence was either. Nobody did at the time. But
Right.
but then right after that, she got Hunger Games and all that kind of stuff. So it was kind of a
Right,
big
yeah.
deal. But
That's when she blew up, yeah.
Yeah. So there is hope for the future.
There is. There's a
for
lot of really talented
movies here,
people around
and
here
super
that can make
talented.
the industry take off. We just need to come together and do it.
You guys need to get together somehow and start writing some damn movies. That's what I
Love
think it boils down to. And then we'll work on all these politicians and get you guys some tax credits for it. But otherwise, guys, thank you all for watching the show today. We do appreciate you. Cory, thank you so much for being here. And we'll keep an eye on you, and we'll make sure that we get you back on the show. But as we always say, keep exploring the Ozarks. Thanks again for listening to Exploring the Ozarks. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe to our social media channels to help us keep exploring the stories of the Ozarks. If you're looking for more ways to support our show, we have sponsorships for businesses and Patreon for individual supporters. Check the links in the description for more details. Thanks for your support, and keep exploring the Ozarks.